Welcome back everybody, another one of my time-lapse model build videos. In this video we're going to be looking at my build progress on the Eduard P-39Q Air Cobra. This is the weekend edition. It did include some photo etch, some vinyl masks, as well as the standard decal sheet. What you will see is actually me building it out of the box. I didn't use anything that did not come in the box, although as you'll see the vinyl masking didn't work out the best, but yeah, you'll see that later. But on that note, let's get into the build. My name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we get into the video, something I should have been doing a lot more up till now, and that is just asking you guys out there, if you enjoy what you're looking at, if you like what I'm doing, go down below, click on the like page, subscribe to my channel, and by all means please click on that little notification bell, if that way you guys get alerted when I do get more new content up. I usually try to do the what's on my desk monthly update beginning of the month. And I usually try to get a video or a series of videos released by the 15th, the middle of the month. So whether that's going to be a tips and tricks video, or an aviation history video, or my time-lapse videos of the previous model builds that I've got done, or an air show video, or some of my new product review videos I'll be doing. So I want to try to get something posted by the middle of the month. So please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like, and click that notification bell. Let's move on to the video. So as usual with the construction of these aircraft models, I did start with the cockpit. Cockpit was a little bit more involved on this one, just because of the large amount of photo etch that was included. A lot of the handles, the instrument panel, there were some wires. There is the seat belts, which we'll see later for the seat. Just a lot of photo etch. I don't usually use photo etch anymore. I used to. I got away from it. It's just a lot of work for very little return, especially with the newer modern kits with the highly detailed cockpits, but it was included in the Eduard kit, so I might as well. I used some of it, I didn't use all of it. But anyways, long story short, took me a little bit more effort than usual to get these cockpit built, and then we'll see moving on to everything else. So, like usually happens, and most times I end up using Photo Etch, which this one has the Photo Etch instrument panel. I managed to lose a part. So, that's the panel as it stands now. And the Photo Etch piece that is supposed to fit here, that covers this section of instrument panel, I have lost. So I'm gonna do what something I kind of wanted to do for a while, but never really getting around to doing, is making my own instrument panel. So I have a little bit of thin, it's a little thicker than I'd like, but it's the thinnest I have, which, I mean, it might look a little funny glued onto here. Oh, you know what? It's going to be pretty close. So I'll go with it. I got some thin styrene. I have the shape of the area that it needs to fill. I have the... So I've got the instrument panel here. I can measure and get a square of the right size. I've got that film instrument pack, and I have a punch set. So I'm actually going to go ahead and basically cut out a square and then punch the instruments in the proper place so that I will be able to build an instrument panel. So stay tuned here. I'm going to get this done now. I'll widen it out a bit so you can actually see a bit of a work area, and I'm going to start cutting this out now. So stay tuned. So there we go. After making that little bit of a panel out of some sheet styrene, punching out the instruments, I didn't get the holes lined up perfectly well, so I had to cut the decal up a little bit, the film, the instrument face film, I had to cut up a little bit and glue each individual piece in place. But after all was said and done, I want to say I'm happy with how it turned out. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than the rest of the instrument panel, but at the end of the day, it will, I believe, pass for what I wanted. It's going to look a little weird, but once it's in the cockpit, weathered, all the other details in place, I think it's going to look good. It's going to do its job, and it's going to be, I want to say, probably pretty hard to tell that I made any real type of mistake once, I mean, you're not going to be getting up super close to this. You're going to be looking at it from a distance through the side door, and I think it kind of does the job. Again, it still has to be weathered, and I think, you know, at least it looks a little bit better than it would have if I just left it blank. So that way, yeah. That is the repair of the instrument panel, so stay tuned. I'm going to keep working away on this cockpit. I've got a lot more detail to go into here, a lot more some photo etch handles. I still got photo etch stuff to put on the instrument panel here. I got more photo etch stuff to add into the cockpit. I got the seat belts on the seats. I got some wires in to go back here. So it's quite a bit more I still have to pull off inside this cockpit. So stay tuned. We'll get this put together, weathered, and buttoned up. So thanks for watching. So here we are. Quick update on the cockpit progress of the P-39. I'm just getting ready to go and give it a shot of flat coat, and then I'll be assembling everything into the fuselage. So you can see the cockpit here. It's basically done. All the parts are installed. Everything has been black washed and then highlighted with a dry brush. So it's basically ready to, I'm just going to flat coat it because the black wash is a little glossy. You can see just a little bit of reflection in there from it all. So I want to give it a good flat coat, knock everything down, clean it all up. I'm very happy with the way the instrument panel turned out. I am not happy with photo etch. I've had so many problems, especially with these machine gun backs here falling off, and the instrument panel itself has fallen off a few times. I love the look of photo etch. I hate installing photo etch. I can never seem to get it to stick properly. I don't know if it's the, I think it's just the nature of the super glue. It's very brittle. It doesn't have a lot of tensile strength, so it'll stick anything to anything, but the slightest amount of lateral force and it just pops. So I'm not entirely happy with it, but it's done. I think a flat coat, get the fuselage glued together, and then hopefully that'll hold everything together. The fuselage sides. On this side here, I've got the some photo etch pieces have been installed. I've got the throttle quadrant installed, and then on the other side, you'll see the decals in place for where they're supposed to be there. So it'll be really nice when it's all put together. You can kind of get a feel for it by installing the fuselage into the side. You can kind of get a feel for what that's going to look like when it's all buttoned up. It's going to look really nice, and it is going to be a really detailed cockpit. I just hope that once I glue things together it doesn't pop on me, because getting all that put back together will be almost impossible once it's all installed. So we'll see. So as I said, we'll get a flat coat onto this cockpit, and then we'll start assembling the fuselage on this P-39. So stay tuned. And while it is a little hard to see here, you will notice I have the weight attached to the nose. The forward cockpit at this point. The weight was included in the kit, and perfectly fits in the nose section, perfectly fits the contours of the fuselage, and it's perfectly weighted that even if you put the aircraft on its tail, it still falls forward onto its nose gear. And I wish a lot more companies would include these things in their kits, and they are great little things to have for any of these nose-wheeled aircraft. And here I am going ahead with the masking process. As I said, they did have the vinyl masks included in this kit. It includes everything you need, things like the wheels, the wing walkways, the section on the tail where you need to put the aircraft registration, as well as all of the clear windows. Not the happiest with how they turned out. They were very stiff, especially on the curve across the top of the cockpit. Those edges start to pop up, and now as you'll see, I ended up having to go ahead and remask that later on in the build. So unfortunately there is a bit of a jump in the build here. The aircraft went from a bare plastic model straight to one that has been primed, had pre-shading done, and had the lower color grade done. And it's just because there was no steps that needed to be done in between all three of those. So it just kind of, it looks like it jumped ahead pretty quickly in the video process, but in reality it was a couple of days, and I had some pictures taken in the process. So here we are, quick mid-build update on the P-39. I'm sure if you've been watching the video, you've seen that I have got the aircraft painted and gloss coated. So this is what it looks like right now. It's effectively ready for decals. I get basically glossed everything that needs to be glossed. There are a few little things you may have noticed if you've been watching the progress. There's a few spots under here. There's a section here in front of the wheel well and a section here and a little one here where, because of the way I had masked, it didn't paint completely. And I think I might leave that just because when you put the pieces on with a bit of weathering, it's going to give it just a little bit of a texture. So once I add the gear door, weather it, do some oil and staining and whatnot, it's going to kind of give it a look, and I think it's a look that I want. So I'm going to leave it for now. I can always touch it up later if I need to, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. And if you've been noticing, I have done some sort of darker splotches. So the base aircraft is painted in Model Master olive drab, and then I used the Vallejo dark olive drab, and I painted a couple of splotches kind of over here by the aileron, a few random panels. This entire wingtip has been painted, and then across the side just some random kind of blotches. Just make it look like bits and pieces have had some paint touch-ups and, you know, work done on it to make it look a little used. This aircraft is going to be done up as a training bird, so it would have been you know, used in the training role stateside, and I want to kind of give it a little bit of a dirty look, you know, something where they haven't really been keeping it up to the same standards just because it is a training bird and they're not too worried about it. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So hopefully with that darker olive drab sprayed around, once you weather it all, it'll kind of give it a nice variation in color and really really make it pop. So I got that done. I just finished glossing the doors. There's a few decals that have to go in the doors. And again, I only glossed half of the door. The lower half, the upper half where I don't need the decals, hasn't been glossed. And I'm hoping that when I give it a flat coat, again, it'll break the color up a little bit and just kind of variates that color a little bit more. But after that, I mean, it's coming along. Like I said, I have the decaling to do, some weathering to do, and then yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But I'm happy with it. It's coming along. So stay tuned. We'll get to some decals. And as you can see here, I'm actually using those vinyl masks to lay out for the wing walks. As I said, they were included in the masking sheet, so that was a nice addition. I did one at a time, laid down the mask, used some Tamiya tape around the edge of the mask, sprayed the black, pulled the masks, did the other wing, and you have your painted on wing walks that look amazing. So here we are on the P-39. As you've been seeing, I have been getting things done. The decals are done. The gloss coat is done. Things like the black walkways have been painted on. I had little things that have been completed. Propellers are painted up. The spinner's painted up. There's a few little things I still got to do. I still got to paint the drop tank. So that still has to be done. I'm going to get the braces glued onto that and get that painted gray. Luckily, that's an easy thing to do. The big issue with this right now is I do have the masks popping. I've had issues with these masks popping on the upper windows here really since the day one I put these on. They are very stiff vinyl, and because they keep popping up and staying up, all of the adhesive has dried off on them, so they don't actually stick anymore. So I'm going to have to go through and actually pull this one, and it looks like even these two forward ones, and remask with Tamiya tape before I can do any flat coating, which is a little annoying, but you know, it is what it is. But other than that, I mean, it is basically ready to do the weathering. I've got the black wash ready to go, so I can start working my way across this, giving it all the black wash, going through some of the parts I have here already and giving them the black wash, and then getting ready. After that is done, it's just a matter of doing some exhaust staining behind here, and on the bottom I want to go through and do a little bit of looking, you know, there's no oil leaks from the front. All the oil leaks would be from back here. The exhaust staining will take care of a lot of that, but just underneath here I want to do a little bit of, you know, a little bit of oil streaking coming from landing gear wells and whatnot, just to give it a little bit of a dynamic look, dirty up the drop tank a little bit, and then that's it. I'm also going to do a little bit from the nose guns, make it look like they've been firing the nose guns. So yeah, black wash, a little bit of exhaust weathering and weathering from that, and then flat coat, and then we can start doing the final bits. Get the landing gear glued on, get the gear doors glued on. The seat can be installed. I haven't even started the seat yet. That's got to be done still, but I can easily just insert that seat once it's completed. But I got to get that finished up, get the doors glued on, work my way through. So it's coming along. Like I said, stay tuned. Next step will be black wash and weathering. So at this point, I've gotten the prop tips painted yellow as well as the spinner painted yellow, and here I am assembling the propeller blades into the propeller hub and getting all of that glued onto the model. So here I'm actually going through the process of pulling the masks off the top of the canopy that had the lifted edges, trying to clean up a little bit of the overspray that happened, and then remasking with Tamiya tape, and this was in preparation for the final flat coat that'll take place here in a minute. So here we are, end of the build. P-39 is finished. Take a quick look at the finished product. So there she is. Extremely happy with how this turned out. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. I'm not a big fan of a lot of photo etch, and this was a pretty photo etch heavy kit, being the Eduard kit. Also the paint scheme, I'm not a big fan of painting white. I never seem to get it to look right. Very happy with how that turned out on this. Overall, turned out really well. As always though, I mean, there's a few little things that I'm not the happiest with, but I mean, I will live with it, and it will look really, really good sitting on that shelf. So very happy with it. And there you go. That is the 1/48 scale Eduard P-39Q. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.